everybody. The lovely Zilly Morgan.
Number 1.
So I'd be like this. So, hey everybody, it's Sean from the Good Dog, blah blah blah. Do I have this kind of movement? I mean, I'll probably be like this, but I mean, I might move and like, wow, like da 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 da.
That's what you're doing.
Wow. I mean, like, I'm just trying to imagine, like,
Wow, we're matching today.
look at us. We need a black hat.
No.
Hey everybody, it's Sean from the Good Dog. Talk real quick.
Hey everybody, it's Laura from the Good Dog.
Hey everybody, it's Sean from the Good Dog. Wow, yours is hotter.
All right, test 1, 2.
Test 1, 2, 3. Wow.
Nice. You're on. Cool, right?
Yep. I'm not
Little
pulling it down.
lavaliers. Now you're good.
I think my belly's sucking it, sucking it down. Ready to rock?
Yes.
Are we like, is this official?
We're official.
Okay. Should I jump into the show or should I
Yes.
talk about some of the weekly stuff?
Get to the weekly stuff. Let's hear it.
First thing, things are going good with Gus, right?
Oh, yeah.
So everybody's following Gus's journey and my journey of holding onto my digits and limbs, extremities. Everything's looking good. Gus is taking food and off muzzle, and no bites have occurred. So that, when you're dealing with a 130-pound multi-biting Tibetan Mastiff, is a very good sign.
Yes.
And a very good week. So that's good news. Brittany, our lovely, what do we call her?
She's our head trainer.
Yeah, but
Head
she's
one-on-ones
so much
trainer.
more than that.
Oh my gosh.
She's
everything. She's our everything.
She's our everything. That's a better way to put it. Speaking of our everything, she brought over that moon pie.
Oh,
Did you try the moon pie?
No.
Susie's Cakes or Susie Cakes? I can't remember which one.
Too much?
Dastardly. 2 chocolate cookies filled with buttercream in between them, like a sandwich. But the cookies were so soft and decadent. I took one bite and I was like, no, this is not for me. And then I came back and I was like, it's not for me. And like,
This is for me.
this is interesting. And then it slowly morphed into this is for me. And it made my cheeks tingle. You ever eat something so sweet that your cheeks tingle? Anyways, so that's what happened this week. You'd think there'd be more important things, but we had some big sweets. We trained some dogs. Laura Morgan is currently in the process of updating and upgrading this whole entire Q&A Saturday. And she's doing a rock and roll job of it. She's got some lavalier mics, which we're giving the maiden voyage. Even if it works, it doesn't work. We got our backup mic. She's so smart. We've got some new graphics coming at you. It's a whole thing. You're kicking butt. I'm pretty proud of you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I'm working on it. I got a lighting kit for us, and we might do a background, and we're doing some crazy stuff. The reality is we want this show to be so much more than it is. It's just become something so fun for us. So we're really interested in, just making it something that's really great and interesting for you guys to watch. And we also want to incorporate other parts of our life, and obviously little cut-ins from other trainers and situations and stuff. But yeah, we just want to kick it up a notch. So
yeah, we're having a good time with it. So so hang with us as it develops, because it's going to get better and better and better. So, and with that, we are going to, speaking of better and better, jump into this. Hey everybody, it's Sean from the Good Dog, and this is the lovely Laura Morgan. And all of this good stuff right here is the Good Dog's Q&A Saturday, episode number 36. 36 is big stuff. Oh, here we go again.
Yay! You did
I did it! Yay! I'm learning.
nail color,
I'm
by the
learning.
way.
I'm learning. Yes, those are cool.
They're cool, right?
It's kind of Christmas colors, right?
It's candy apple red. Or no, it's big, New York apple red.
New York apple red?
Or like big red, the big apple?
Big apple.
Yeah.
Big red. We love you. Okay.
Question number 1. It's from
Nicely
Elijah.
formatted. Yes.
Elijah Weiss. Elijah says, hey, Sean and Laura, I've been following the work you're doing with Gus the Mastiff and had a question about safe handling with a guy like that.
Me too.
Since it seemed that his human aggressive behavior was pretty intense with you, how did you handle getting the muzzle on and off?
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming he has it off for eating and sleeping. I'd love to hear your procedure or techniques for safely getting him in and out of that, since I would imagine, at least at first, that hands near his face might be rather dangerous. Thanks, and hope things are progressing well with him.
Elijah?
Elijah.
Mm-hmm. Elijah, does a spacesuit mean anything to you? That's basically what I would get into every day, so I could... Just kidding. So the muzzle stuff, we have a protocol for any dogs that have had any biting issues with humans, dogs, or even redirects like on walks, where they'll, bite, nibble on somebody's leg when they see another dog, something like that. And that protocol is that any dog who has that history who's coming to us has to be, muzzle conditioned prior to coming in. So that means that, that means that any dog coming in has had hopefully a week to 2 weeks of the owner doing muzzle conditioning on their own, which the muzzle conditioning is a big part of this, because the whole gig is not to force a muzzle onto the dog, it's to teach the dog to create positive associations with it and get the dog to where they actually welcome it, which is a big game changer. Now, if the dog comes in without that, then we've got to try and do that, and that's when things can be dangerous and also very time consuming. So that might take us a week and a half before we can get a dog to be safely muzzle conditioned, which could be really, kind of dastardly. So that said, he came in on a muzzle, and just because I said that he's muzzle conditioned doesn't also mean that he's totally safe for me to take it on and off. So I'm going to back up a few steps and kind of like see if I can clearly articulate this. So muzzle conditioning comes from the owner first. Then he comes in, he goes on a dominant dog collar, which is like a fitted choke, like nylon choke collar, and that's attached to a long line, and then he's muzzled. And basically he wore that muzzle until I felt comfortable enough to take that muzzle off. So we use specific muzzles for that. He's using, or he was using, Baskerville Ultra 2, I think. Everybody always asks us whenever they see him in video. So Baskerville Ultra 2, I think he's a size 6.
Size 6?
Yep, size 6, big guy. And that allows him to drink water and to eat food through it. So it's a really cool muzzle when you have a dog like that, that you need to wear the muzzle for an extended period, and you don't want to worry about him not being able to eat or drink. So he wore that muzzle for multiple days until we got to a place where I felt comfortable taking it off in certain contexts. With a dog that big and with that extensive of a bite history, it's not to be messed around with, and you really have to trust your gut, and you have to move slow and steady with him. So once I felt some level of comfort with him, then I take the next step, which is removing the muzzle for certain situations. And trying to think what the first ones were. I think the first situations were taking the muzzle off for him to sleep. So he'd come back in after being, after we'd work with him, and then we would take the muzzle off and then put him in his crate and then bring him out of the crate. Long line is attached out of the crate, so I don't have to like wrestle him out of there. I'm always safe. Bring him out, get him to the front door. He liked to come to the front door of the kennel because he wanted to go out, and he would always kind of like cattle, kind of like put himself in that spot. And he would allow me to put the muzzle on. God bless him, because if he wouldn't, that would be a really, really challenging situation. So muzzle goes on, then I could do e-collar stuff, and we had to have his owner shave him, and I don't want to get too long in the tooth in this, but had to have his owner shave him so we could have the e-collar on. Once he's muzzled, e-collar goes on, long line stays on, we work with him, and then as he feels safer in different contexts, remove it for the walk. That looked good, and then took the final step of removing it for him in the house, working with me, where he's got more movement, more space, because that's kind of like the most dangerous part. Even though the walk, he could bite me, the walk is way more controlled, and there's less kind of like interaction between like me and him. We're just moving forward. Yeah, and less spatial pressure conversations or anything like that. So the most dangerous times for me are in the back backyard with him or calling him around for commands inside the house or the front yard. And so that was the last moments where we took the muzzle off, and he's just been doing really great. So I'm hoping that answers your question. You move very slow. You have the owner do the work to muzzle condition the dog, and then you have to just be sleuthy and trust every little instinct that tells you he's not ready yet, he is ready, and that just comes with experience. So I'm hoping that answered your question. Thanks.
Okay, question number 2.
Yes.
I think I did, let's see, Leslie. Leslie says, I'm late to the party this week. That's okay, you made it. But my 7-ish-year-old pittie girl who I adopted from a no-kill shelter about a year and a half ago has many challenging issues. She's trained to e-collar, and we do lots of duration work with distractions, and she's made progress. The specific behavior I'm asking about today is kennel aggression. She will enter her crate without a problem, but if someone walks by her crate, she freaks out, barking and carrying on. This includes my teenage kids, any of their friends, or visitors. Her crate is in the far corner of the dining room, away from the center of attention, but she still freaks. She rests quietly in the crate otherwise and even hangs out there without being told sometimes. Any suggestions would be welcome. Thank you.
Okay, we get a lot of this actually. So a lot of dogs can get weird inside the crate for a variety of reasons. Gus, who we were just talking about, was one of those guys. So she said the dog's e-collar trained, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really, really nice. That gives you a real leg up in this. So this would be my first approach, and then you can get back to us and let us know how it goes. But e-collar on, excuse me, every time we get coffee, I get all like, sorry, microphone.
It's the milk.
It's the milk?
Oh, must be.
So e-collar on, dog goes in the crate, set up the situation where your kids or whoever are going to trigger the dog goes by, you're ready with the remote, hanging out, just being neutral, and dog starts to light up. High correction, I would just say no, pop, right? So dogs across the room, kids go walking by. I don't wait for the big explosion. As soon as you see like raised lip or anything that's a precursor, roll up, no, pop, right? And so, sorry, I got an itch. Make sure that the goal is that you want to make sure that that action, that choice, that behavior is really uncomfortable, so your dog doesn't want to do it anymore. Now, you could do something where you feed the dog over and over again in the crate and kids hand them stuff, but I'm a big believer in stopping it first, and then we can work on counter conditioning or creating more positive associations. So that would be my first. The fact that he's e-collar trained, like if he wasn't, that's what I'd be recommending you do, so you're way ahead of the curve. And all you have to do is be comfortable enough to go high enough to create an aversive that's valuable enough that whatever reason your dog's doing that behavior, he opts to do something else, which is just be quiet.
She.
Or she, sorry, I don't want to offend your growling pit bull. But that's basically how we do it. So if I walk into the kennel here and a dog does that, there's going to be an e-collar on that dog, and I'm going to correct that dog firmly. Now,
most likely it's just a bad habit.
Yeah.
You know, if she's fine and she's fine in the crate, she's fine. Like, she's probably been in the shelter and done that 1,000 times. It's just like biting your nails.
Yeah.
Except it looks bad.
Yeah, and she probably doesn't even think about it.
No,
She's probably
that's what
not
I'm saying.
even
It's just
not
a
even
habit.
aware.
Just like,
yeah. And Gus was doing the same thing. So that would be my first approach. If that approach doesn't work, hit us up and let us know, and then I'll give you my secondary approach. But that usually works very well. But once again, if you nag the dog at smaller corrections, you might not get what you're looking for. You're really looking like, and if your dog looks uncomfortable temporarily, like someone just took the oxygen out of the room and is worried, that's okay temporarily. Your dog will recover and get into a better space, but you have to block. That's a negative, nasty behavior, and we don't want that. So let her know firmly, no, I don't want that stuff going on in the crate when my kids walk by. Zip it up, knock it off. But e-collar's got to be on. Then you got to set up the situation, be ready to dial up, say no, and pop. Thanks.
Cool. Question number 3. This comes from Anne Sparks. And
Hercules. Manny is not a couch. I wish you guys could see.
I wish you guys could see this. Okay. Okay. Anne says, "Hi, Laura and Sean. Hope all is well with you. All is good here. I'm loving training this first not mine dog."
Anne just attended T3.
Dallas. So
Hey, Anne.
it helps that she's super smart and sweet and very tolerant of mistakes. My question concerns Cooper. So she had a aggressive dog, Cooper, that she brought to Dallas. Essentially, okay. So back home, I'm determined to address her dog reactivity. I put her muzzle on, long line on, put her in the yard with one of my other dogs. She went on the attack, and I applied a high collar correction. After doing this twice, she went to the other side of the yard and wouldn't look at the dog. After a half hour, she was back to being her usual self. Good. So I bring out the second of my dogs that she goes after. I should mention now the muzzle is off. She took one look at the dog and went ballistic, charging the fence. I again used the high collar at a significant level. She stopped.
Excellent.
Then she walked her, and dog walks on the other side of the street. Of course, Cooper reacted, so she gave her the high correction. But, it was the third time, I guess, probably in the day that she
wasn't the charm.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if I'm doing something wrong or if Cooper is just extraordinarily stubborn. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I could also capture one of these incidents on video and send it over to you. Okay.
What's your take on this one? I'm trying to remember Cooper. We took Cooper out on that walk, right?
Cooper was the smallish boxer. What I think with this is that Cooper has been practicing with you for a long time in a different way. And so just like all of our clients and everyone that we talk to here.
This is old habit/association with you.
Yeah, hey.
You smarty pants, you. Smarty pants.
So it's just about, getting yourself, it's going to take time. The thing that I think a lot of people say about e-collar or things like that is like, oh, it's a quick fix. No, unless if you have a softer dog, what is it?
Just chip away every day.
Weird. So
that's why you're our secret agent.
No, I think I'm a parent. But basically, you're just chipping away at that by doing it over and over.
Yeah.
With a dog like that, sometimes it's a quick fix. If you have like a softer dog that doesn't have a ton of association, that's easy, like, oh, okay, never mind, I don't want to eat the poisonous chocolate on the table anymore because you gave me a quick correction, whatever. But we're talking about deep-seated stuff with other dogs and with you, on a walk, feeling insecure. So what we really want to stress, I'm just going for it.
You rock and roll, lady.
Right?
Yeah.
What we really want to stress, and which we stress at T3 in a big way, is I know you know this, but it's not about big corrections. It's all the other stuff that's going to help those corrections be significant. So if Cooper is, and I know she's not, because I know you got this, but if Cooper's freewheeling in all the rest of her life, and then you're like, oh, I just don't understand, why isn't she responding to these big corrections? It doesn't work that way.
Because relationship and arousal are both out of whack.
Yeah. And she's like, but what do you mean? You can't just I can't just get corrected, you have to be practicing all so that when those corrections comes, it makes perfect sense.
Yep.
She's like, oh, mom makes me stay in place. I can't even get up off place.
And holds me accountable and corrects me for it. Yeah, I'm held
accountable all the time, so of course it's going to be out here. So then she won't be pushing the envelope so much. So when we stress foundation, we're not doing it for our health. We're stressing foundation because foundation is where the dog starts to buy in to you. Little moments, just like any relationship. It's the little moments that make the big moments easier or harder for a relationship.
Yeah.
So and I know you're not doing this. I'm talking to everyone who's watching this, but just going like, oh, well, let's just put an e-collar, or even if they're e-collar condition, let's just give them a high correction. If you don't have the other side of it, that won't matter, and that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
So
you need to write a book. I think you're ready for your first dog training book.
You guys think so?
I think so. That was splendid. So once again, like you typically...
I'm trying to think of something funny, but...
You'll get there. So once again, good yin and yang balance here, right? So oftentimes I'm responding to these questions about what should I be doing with these corrections and blah, blah, blah. And I agree with her giving big corrections for those issues, right? And I think Laura would as well, like fence fighting, trying to go after the other dog. Like I said in the other question, like first, I stop the behavior, knock it off. That crap is unacceptable. But like Laura said so well, those corrections are all empowered and reinforced and given juice by everything else that goes on in your life with your dog. So we've seen dogs that will blow through e-collars if their relationship's so out of whack with the owner. Even if we pattern and train the dog on the e-collar and get the dog rock and roll, and the dog goes home and the owner and their relationship's totally out of whack, we've watched dogs blow right through e-collars and be like, this thing, it doesn't make any sense to me psychologically or emotionally because you don't operate as an owner. As an owner, you don't operate in any kind of authoritative capacity for me. So this makes no sense. All I feel is pressure, and I know what it means, but I don't know what you mean because you don't make any sense.
It's even more stressful.
Yeah, it's conflict. It's conflict. So Anne, I think just to add into the great stuff Laura said is make sure, and she's not implying you're not doing it, but make sure you're kicking butt in all the foundation work, and we always talk about like getting leverage in small moments. Like you kick her butt, like Laura said, for breaking place by challenging her, pushing her, leaving the room, knocking on the door, things that she's really excited about, and you start holding her accountable for there, it creates leverage and starts stacking that when you say no for the bigger stuff, it has a ton of value. So you can't have one without the other. You might have just said that, which was great. So if I'm parroting you, then the parrot is like flying back and forth.
What came first, the chicken or the egg?
The chicken or the parrot. So I don't know where that came from, but so just to clarify for everybody out there, yes, their big corrections can be very valuable for certain things, but big corrections just existing in their own world without having a foundation of relationship and accountability and lifestyle oftentimes are pretty wonky as far as having any real lasting ripple effect and generalization and all the good stuff. So you are going to have to go out there and kick butt and scratch and claw for every little piece of changing a relationship because your dog is so used to it and has all these associations of feeling a certain way about you and feeling a certain way in its house with you that you're going to have to go out there and say like, oh no. And right now you're saying, oh no, and your dog's going, sure, prove it to me. And that's the process. That's really like the beauty of these animals is that you can come out with all the greatest tools and techniques, and until you prove it, until you've done that hard work of going in the trenches every day and proving it and earning it back, your dog's like, that's great. That's a lovely e-collar you got, and I love your commands. I'll see you over here. I'm going to be at the fence fighting. Right. So that's kind of the upshot of that. So you need them both, and I think Laura really explained that really well. So I'm going to duck out before I
quickly. It's just like I was just trying to think like, if you had a friend or a boyfriend or a girlfriend or something who was totally passive and easy with you all the time, and then randomly at situation was like, I'm going to put my foot down and this is this and this is this. You're like, Are you really? Sure? It's got that sort of thing. So, your dog...
It's got an unbelievable quality.
Yeah. It's just
and the reason is... because it's not consistent.
Yeah.
Right? And so we look at this, just like Laura's example, we look at human beings who are inconsistent and don't trust the message they're sending.
We may get nervous about it. We may not like that interaction that they're giving us, that kind of blow up, but we're still not going to totally buy it and feel even more insecure and kind of nervous about them because of the consistency.
And so dogs are doing the same thing. So nice answer.
Thanks. Just thinking about that.
Yeah. My parrot impersonation.
Okay, question number 4. This is from Simi Lion. It was transferred from the video post.
Yeah.
Posted. She says, here's a cue for you. What do you do with a dog that is immune to an e-collar at any level? Tritonic sport collar functioning properly had absolutely no effect whatsoever. Oh, fortunately, this is a sweet dog without serious behavior issues.
That it?
Yep.
Simi, and I couldn't put the little notation in there, but there's like little over the E and the I. It's like some, it's I'm sure we're butchering that name.
Yeah.
But Seme Leon. So let me know if I did that right. Anyway, Seme. Okay, so first of all, I've never seen this. And all the dogs we've worked with, I've never seen a dog who's completely impervious to the e-collar. I've seen dogs that are really resistant, really insensitive. We just had a first go-home session with a dog named Lola, who is extremely insensitive, but she still gets the e-collar when the levels are higher. So,
and especially if they're kind of sweet and soft and.
Yeah. So, but here's a couple things I'd check out, and I'm sure you've already checked these things out, but I want to run down the list just to make sure. Which is one, the collar's too loose, right? I know that sounds incredibly obvious, but a lot of times people don't have a lot of clarity about how snug the collar should be. So if the collar's not snug enough, and your dog's got thick fur, then you've got a very good chance that your dog's not getting much of the stem, if any. And any fur that's underneath the contact points dissipates the actual amount of stem that your dog feels. So that's one thing. I know it's an obvious one, but hey, we got to check off the obvious. Another is that the dog hasn't been shown what to do with the pressure. I think this is a much more common one for a dog that may have had a collar put on and then had buttons pushed. And once again, I'm not accusing you of just pushing buttons, but it's a common thing. And then owner or dog trainer not showing the dog what to do with the pressure. And what happens is dog senses this pressure and the pressure gets intense and the owner or the trainer's waiting for a response and not seeing one. And the dog's like, I don't know what to do with this, right? So I feel this pressure. There's no out for what to do with this. So the dog just takes it, and the dog might just shut down, might just like stay, relax, might lay down, might do something like that. So that's why whenever we're working with the dog on e-collar, there's always a leash on the dog. And even if the dog knows commands prior, the dog doesn't know the commands prior on e-collar, or the dog doesn't understand the commands in the same way because the sensation of the e-collar is different. So say you're trying to teach the dog recall, and you're like, this dog's impervious to remote collar. We put him out there and we say, come, we hit the button. The dog's like, crap, I don't know what to make of that. Well, if you teach like we teach, you find the dog's lowest working level, which even if, so if you got good contact and you got the collar on the dog and you start at low levels and you start tapping and looking for your dog's eyes to blink or the dog to look down, and if you don't see any of those and you've got good contact, there's a certain point where you hit a button and you should see the neck actually quiver and shake, right, from the stimulation. That's where you start. Dog standing there, press the button and hold at that level that is your dog's noticing it. Guide them with the leash. As soon as the dog makes a few steps towards you, button comes off, good boy, praise, draw the dog in. Now you're giving the dog information about what to do with the pressure, and the dog can start putting two and two together. But if you just get pressure and you don't know what to do with it, I was going to try and think of a good analogy for that, and I don't know if I can come up with one on the spot, but if it comes to me, I'll try and share it. But if the dog doesn't know what to do with the pressure, the dog's stuck. The dog's probably just going to like hang and shut down. You might even get this horrible thing called learned helplessness, which is the dog doesn't know what to do with something, so it just like learns to just kind of like be helpless because no choice it understands how to make helps them turn off that discomfort. So your job is to share pressure and then give guidance and show the dog what to do with that pressure, that they can turn that pressure off. And then the dog goes, oh, okay, I know what to do with this, and then the dog comes alive and will actually respond. So that's typically what I would see happening. And then if that's not it, then you might have to try, like maybe you've got just some crazy anomaly dog, and maybe you have to go to a bigger collar or something like that, one of the bigger Tritronics. But my gig that I would check off is collar fit, contact. You might have to shave the dog's neck if you don't have really great contact points for the dog. I'd probably shave the dog's neck just to make sure I'm getting great contact. So really snug fit, really great contact, shave the dog's neck if you have to, put a leash on the dog, find the dog's level where the dog like blinks, looks down, or at least the neck quivers even if there's no other response. Start there, press the button standing behind the dog, gentle leash pressure with the leash, and then as soon as the dog starts moving towards you, the button goes off, and then you coax the dog in or coach the dog in. And that's what I would do to try and see what's going on, because I've never, ever, ever, ever seen a dog that we aren't able to share pressure with and have the dog learn how to work with that pressure. Even like Lola, who was just here, who left, who's on a bigger collar, and can actually shut out some of the higher level stuff, she still learned about all the pressure and still learned how to deal with the e-collar and is e-collar savvy and literate. So that's what I'd go with that. Anything to add to that little?
No.
No?
That's great.
All right, great. Thanks.
Cool. Question number 5. This is from Jill Ingram.
Yeah.
Jill says, I have a pack of 3 dogs, 2 Danes and a Schnauzer Lab cross.
Schnauzer.
I also have a 3-month-old baby. 2 dogs are fine with the baby, but the male Dane is not. Having the baby in the same room causes him to have lots of anxiety. We've been going on walks with the baby in the stroller and Axel, I guess that's the Dane, wearing a backpack. Place duration work with one of us holding the baby in the same room, but Axel just can't seem to relax with the baby around.
That it? Axel. Okay, this is a pretty common one, guys. Jill, right?
Yep.
So we had a dog in just recently named, was it Clementine or Clementine?
Clementine.
Clementine.
No, Clementine with the baby.
Because we've had 2. And Clementine had issues with the baby, a lot of anxiety, a lot of worry, a lot of concern about the baby. And so our program was, we don't have a baby here. And so we didn't have a baby to work with specifically. All we did was full e-collar board and train program, taught the dog to be fully compliant, to be fully tuned into the e-collar, fully accountable for what we're asking for, a ton of duration work backed up by e-collar work. And then taught the owner some specific things about, like, they were trying to introduce the baby to the dog, which just created tons of fallout. So we just said, dog's not allowed to get anywhere near the baby. Create a bubble, 3, 4, 5 feet. We put the baby actually in the center of the room. Someone was standing there, of course, and I had Clementine on leash. And I would walk her around. Anytime she got close to the baby, I'd give her light stem and just say, this is a bubble. Stay away from this baby. It's not yours to be concerned about. So a lot of times the stress that comes from not getting clear enough guidance about what to do with something a dog is unsure about creates the stress and the anxiety that you're seeing with this dog, and the dog doesn't know what to do, and then the owners are trying to, like, bridge the gap and create a relationship. And I'm not saying you're, like, putting your baby in the dog's face, but typically that's what owners are looking to do. They're trying to bridge the gap. Like, if the dog just gets to smell or gets comfortable with the baby, they'll get over that. So what I'd recommend is, I don't know if Axel's on e-collar, but I would absolutely 100% go to e-collar training. If you're not comfortable, if you're too busy to do it on your own, then I'd hire a pro to help you with it. And I would look for some of the very basic foundational stuff that we do, which is bomb-proof recall, sit, down, and place, and then walk on leash, heel on e-collar. And I would not be just trying to get Axel to be in place when the baby's around. That's the wrong strategy. And the right strategy is that Axel's in place when the world's going around. You want to condition Axel to just hang in place regardless of what's going on, so he gets really comfortable, really conditioned to it, so it's not just, oh, I go to place when the baby's here. That's a very different conversation, and that's not going to get you where you want to go. You need to condition him over and over again. He should just be spending a ton of time in lockdown in place, to where he's just hanging out. He gets used to ignoring the dogs moving around, people walking by him, somebody at the door, you walking by with the baby in your hands, all that stuff. And when you finally sit down on the couch and he's in place, he's just been exposed to life going on and him having nothing to do with that. Him not having an opinion or the ability to engage with any of it takes away a lot of the stress that comes from, what do I do with this baby? What do I do with this thing, this creature, this entity that's in here? And that creates more of the anxiety stuff that you're seeing that's probably got you so concerned. So I would do full e-collar program if you can. If you can't do a full e-collar program, get that dog on a leash and prong, and do a ton of lockdown stuff that doesn't just transpire when the baby's around. It has to transpire consistently and almost constantly, to where that dog totally gets conditioned that everything going on in his house, none of his business, right? And just to clarify, Clementine, who they were really concerned about being around the baby, is rocking and rolling, perfect.
They're awesome owners who've done really, really good work.
Right. Yeah. They did e-collar work, and they followed our rules about not trying to create this relationship, but instead create this bubble, create some firm boundaries with the dog, and those firm boundaries helped Clementine relax. And those firm boundaries will help Axel relax as well. Once again, I prefer e-collar, but if all you can do is leash and prong, then do that. But put that dog in lockdown and condition him over and over and over again that the world going on around him, none of his business. And then let us know how it goes.
Yeah.
Cool?
Really important stuff.
Yeah, and don't try, the last thing I'll close out, please don't try and create baby dog introductions. Please, 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 please. That's how you create stress. That's how you create negative associations. Everybody's like, here, doggy, smell the baby. And the dog's like, holy crap, I don't know what to make of this. No, it's like, my baby, give me space, give the baby respect. And when the dog is in a better, more stable space with the baby, then we can move forward like that. But now's not the time. Cool?
Cool.
We've got
question number 6.
Would this be from Teresa Apollo?
No, this is from Wendy.
Okay.
I moved around a little bit. So Wendy says, I was recently told by a vet that my dog should never wear a collar again. He has severe neck injury that has caused permanent damage to his spine. He is a 105-pound Rottweiler that is e-collar trained. I also have a prong collar, used a prong collar as needed. So since I can't use a collar any longer, the vet suggested a no-pull harness. Any suggestions?
Old no-pull harness.
He's a very strong boy, and I worry that using any harness is going to be difficult.
Your worry is probably greatly founded in reality.
Wendy, that's a tough one.
So
Wendy, we have a special guest for you answering this question.
Whoa, what? I'm acting like I don't know anything about this. Tell me about this. What's going on?
So she needs a small introduction. We have Tori Smith.
The wonderful Tori Smith.
The wonderful Tori Smith flying in for this week's episode. She's with Take the Lead Canine Training in Winter Springs, Florida. If anyone needs a trainer out in or around Florida,
Tori's
she's your
the
girl.
Best. Yeah, she's great.
We've known her now for a couple years, and she's just awesome.
Went through the T3 program.
She went through T3
and like slingshotted out of there into world domination.
Yeah, she's dominating the world. So. And
she's also one of the nicest people around
that you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
So, and a bad dog trainer.
She's probably blushing right now.
I'm sure she is.
That's good.
Let's take to her.
Hey guys, this is Tori Smith with Take the Lead Canine Training in Orlando, Florida. Thank you, Sean and Laura, for asking me to help out with the program today. I'm excited. Q&A Saturday is pretty awesome, so I'm looking forward to helping out. This is Wendy Troutman's question. She was recently told by her veterinarian that her dog should never wear a collar again. Her veterinarian recommended using a no-pull harness, but she's concerned because he is a strong dog that a harness will be difficult to use, so she's asking for some suggestions. All right, Wendy. Well, I'm sorry to hear about your dog's injury. Beyond dog training, I've also worked at a veterinary office too, so I can speak kind of from my thoughts and experiences on what might be going on. I'm not sure what the diagnosis is of exactly what the deal is with your dog, but generally, if it's like a disc problem, a cervical problem, or a disc problem, which probably has caused an issue with your dog's spine, the reason your vet is recommending not using a collar is because extended pressure on the neck is detrimental to and going to cause problems to what you've got going on already. And so it makes sense that he would recommend a harness because we don't want your dog to be in pain and we don't want the condition to get any worse. The cool thing is that you have a fully e-collar trained dog. So you actually have a really neat opportunity here to create some new training stuff with your dog. The actual e-collar doesn't have a leash on it, so it literally is just sitting on your dog's neck. I'd speak with your veterinarian about it, but honestly, I think that the e-collar being on your dog's neck shouldn't be causing a problem. But you could look at it like this. We're going to use the e-collar to do all the work. So what you can do is get a really immaculate e-collar heel, work on your pressure and release, you pressure if your dog gets ahead, gets too wide, lags behind, and using that pressure to help guide your dog into heel position. It's really cool because the e-collar can do all the work for you, and honestly, you're working towards almost having an off-leash dog in a sense that you're not using the leash for any communication. You're strictly using the e-collar. In that case, you certainly could have your dog on a harness just to have the leash attached to your dog, so that sure, if you do need to physically do some kind of leash pressure, you can, but use that e-collar to be your communication tool. You know, a really good way to look at it is this is an invisible leash. So you're not having to use physical pressure on your dog, and you're using the e-collar to communicate. There are, if your vet really does have concerns about anything being on your dog's neck, I've heard about e-collars being used in a harness fashion. I've never seen it, but people say that they've done it. So you could get crafty and try and figure out the best way to connect the e-collar with the harness. But honestly, you know, I really feel that your vet is just concerned about any pressure being put on your dog's neck. And so cool thing is, e-collar's not going to do that. So have a harness, whether it's the front harness or a regular, you know, back harness. That's fine. Clip your dog on with the harness, but work on getting that great e-collar heel. The cool thing is you're going to be kind of doing some new training with your dog, which is kind of exciting because it's going to really build that bond a little bit better. But it's also going to get you really savvy and fluent with your e-collar and make it even better than before. So let the e-collar do all the work for you. You know, don't depend on that harness and on that leash as much anymore. And it's a kind of foreign concept. It's really hard to get away from wanting to always do leash corrections and wanting to communicate with the leash. Let the e-collar do it for you. Sean's got a lot of great videos on e-collar heel, and you know, check those out and see what you can do. But you really could get away with having your rottie in heel, walking great for you, recalling, doing all the same stuff on a harness, as long as the e-collar's doing all the work and you've got a lot of great communication with it. So again, check with your vet, but I think it will work out great. Keep us posted. It's really exciting, and good luck to you. Thanks, guys. Hope that helped. Bye.
Thank you, Tori.
Thanks, Tori. Nice work, lady.
Question number 7. We've got Teresa. And Teresa asks, let's see, lost her. Teresa says, "Hi guys, thanks for educating us always and being so generous with your knowledge and information. I'm working on e-collar heel with my dog, and every time I guide him back into heel position, he sits down. I'm starting to think that he thinks heel means to come back to me and sit. Any suggestions? I've watched your Fusa video several times."
Okay.
Don't tell me to watch a Fusa video because I've watched it.
Hey, watch Fusa and it'll show you the whole deal. Okay, here's what typically I see when we have shadows over here or anybody working on e-collar heel. I don't know if you can guess where I'm going with this. I'll give you 2 seconds to buzz in.
What did you say? I was texting Brittany.
Anyways, okay, so what typically happens is, because there's a lot of stuff going on, you got a leash in your hand, you've got an e-collar in this hand, you've got the dog that you're watching, you've got to give a command, press the button, and guide the dog with the leash. I don't know if you can see my hands everywhere here. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and what I tend to see is that the dog forges out in front, and the owner says, heel, presses the button, and I wish I could do my Sean Connery, Trebek, and presses the button, and then guides the dog back into position. But typically what handlers do is they slow down when they do that, right?
That's right.
There's this weird thing of like, I want the dog to slow down, so what I do is I press the button, I say heel, I guide the dog, and I slow down. And what typically happens is if you slow down like that, then, or not what typically happens, but what can definitely happen is that it's a false cue to your dog to sit down. So you're probably walking along at a certain pace, dog moves out in front of you, heel, you slow down, your dog goes, oh, you want me to sit, because we're actually slowing our pace, which probably feels more akin to a sit. So the real trick here is keep yourself at a good brisk pace, truck along, dog starts to move out in front of you, focus really intensely on, or intently, or intensely, and slash,
Intently and intensely.
That slash, yeah. And hit the button, give the command, and focus intently/intensely on keeping your motion from moving or slowing down at all. You want to just move, right? So what we're trying to do is get the dog to move independently of us into the correct position without us doing it, right? So dog moves out, heel, feels the pressure, leg guidance from the leash if you need it, unless your dog's already at the place where they don't need that anymore, and then you guide the dog back. But while all this is going on and you're juggling all these balls in the air, you got to keep moving at the same pace, right? That's the trick. And I'm almost 100% certain that that's what's going on for you, is that you might be walking slow already and then slowing down just a little bit, and your dog's like, hey, we're stopping. But if you keep moving and you're moving at a good pace, there's no dog that can sit while you're walking. So, and if they did, I would just say, no, hit the button, keep moving, and then teach the dog that we're talking about heel and not sit. But it's almost, I'd be willing to bet a lot of my chips that we're talking about you slowing down and miscuing the dog on accident. Happens all the time, so don't feel bad. But let us know if that's in fact what's going on, and let us know if you manage to turn it around by just keeping your pace, right? Keep your pace, get the dog to slow down. All right?
That was a
Sound
good
good?
insight. I totally forgot about that. People do slow down. They don't even
I see it with all the shadows.
Yeah. I'm sure I do it too. There's something like...
No, I watch you when you teach it. You're pretty darn good at it. You might have early on.
Yeah, you're just trying to like get the...
It's too many things going on, but like even shadows that have pretty good experience, I watch them slow down. I'm like, no, keep moving, because we don't want to adjust to the dog. We want the dog to adjust to us.
Same when people do corrections on the prong collar. Now that I think about it, they'll stop and correct the dog, and you're like, oh, don't stop.
Yeah. I think that's a really, it's interesting because I think it comes pretty natural if you work with dogs a ton. But I think that's a pretty common thing. Is like we want to slow the dog down, so we're almost like having a conversation with our body, like, no, this is what I want. But then the dog's like, what do you want?
What do you want? Yeah.
So, cool. Thanks.
Question number 8.
This
is from Tara Isaacson.
The
wonderful,
world famous Tara Isaacson
lovely.
that's become so famous on our Q&A Saturday.
She's the bomb.
Yep.
Tara says, hey guys, rocking it with my Pit Mix Scout, thanks to you.
That's awesome.
I'm volunteering at our local shelter, and they prohibit the use of prong or e-collar. The biggest impediment to adoption is the dog that pulls on the leash.
Isn't that ironic, don't you think?
It just makes me angry.
Yeah.
I'm looking at slip leads online. Is that my best, worst option? Any other recommends?
Tara, I like your style. Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to jump in real quick and just say what a bummer this is, because getting dogs to not pull is so freaking easy. Getting dogs to not pull, I mean, honestly, like, it's...
It's that Munchausen syndrome or something. What is that?
Munchausen?
Munchausen. That's how I feel about it every single time. Whatever it is. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's not cool. That it's like, oh, these guys can't get adopted. We got to put them down. Oh, let's share them on Facebook. But don't use a prong collar.
Are you talking about that they get attention and drama points, and
there's a lot of people, there's a billion amazing rescue, but I'm just talking about people that are vehemently opposed to these tools. I think they could see something that works and are still going to completely cover their eyes. They get payoff
by keeping the dog stuck.
I don't know.
That's
whatever it is, but it's just
I think it's Munchausen by proxy.
Really? I'm
just saying. So what Laura's saying is right on the money. It's such a bummer. I don't want to go on to a big like soapbox thing, but like,
we're preaching the choir, by the way.
I know all you guys know, but for the folks that are just discovering this, because there's definitely people that are discovering this new every week. The watching ship gets or the viewership gets expanded every week. So it's the easiest way to help get dogs that are adrenalized and pulling and struggling to, put a simple tool, a $25, $30 tool on the dog, some very simple techniques that you can watch in one of my videos or a lot of other trainers' videos, and have that dog not pull so the family can enjoy him and feel comfortable with him and have him safe. And it's all because of this emotional response that this tool is a torture device. I just have to say that keeping dogs locked in shelters, rescues, when they could be let out, or having them put down, or having them be killed because you can't emotionally wrap your head around a tool that actually doesn't do any damage to the
You can't actually look it up. That's the thing. it's not just about, we're not talking to anyone who's watching this, but seriously, that you
No,
can't
but it's
watch
a it's
a
a it's a
video and
sensitive
see.
it's a sensitive thing with us, and it's a lot of reason why we put so many videos out to try and empower people. And we've I think between us and Jeff and Tyler and Blake and a lot of other guys that are putting out videos, I think there's been a pretty major impact on shifting the way people perceive those tools, and I'm pretty proud of being just some small piece of that. But to be honest, I just think it's an incredibly selfish move that's prioritizing human ideology and human emotions over getting a dog into a home where you put a little prong collar on a dog and you train him what to do, and the dog walks nice, and the family's like, wow, this is great, I can enjoy this dog, because everybody wants to walk a dog that's not a maniac and get their arm pulled out of the socket. So off the soapbox, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm pissed about that, but I applaud you for going in and doing your best. So that said, slip leads are tough. I mean, it's a pretty common one.
Dominant dog collar and a pet convincer.
I don't know if they'll even let them use a dominant dog collar.
Just say
You
it's
could
a
try.
slip lead.
Yeah, I mean, you could
Looks
try.
like a slip lead. It's just basically a slip lead with a little bit of a thinner and more of a tighter fit. So
Yeah,
you can get
so you can fit. The problem is you need a whole bunch. But if you're interested, you can order them off of Learberg.com and get dominant dog collars, and we use them on a lot of dogs, not so much for training, but if you're in a pinch, that's something you can definitely use. And basically, it's a fitted, just a collar that's a slip and that you attach a leash to, and it stays real high on the neck and allows you much more control. Dogs are still probably going to like choke and cough on it if they pull a lot, so that's going to be a drag. One of the other options, believe it or not, even though I never use one, but if push came to shove and they're like, you can't use a prong, you can only use a slip or this, a halty might actually do better as far as giving you more control with less choking, and it actually has more valuable pressure conversation with the dog than a slip lead does. So it takes a little while to get used to them and know how to effectively use them and put them on a dog. And you can definitely get dogs that are resistant to them initially, and we'll give you some crocodile rolls and all sorts of stuff. But if I had to go into a shelter and I couldn't use a prong, I think halty would probably be my next go-to, even though it's not a tool I'm crazy about. I know like some people like Gary Wilkes, who I definitely trust is doing a lot of good work out there, and Heather Beck uses them a lot, and so I know that they definitely can.
Yeah, they can be great.
They can be
more
great.
Work. You know what I would love to see you do is bring a prong collar in there and do a demonstration. Just to do, e-collar is a tough one. I get it. That's a tough one to be like, hey guys, we're all on board for this electric current, right? I totally get that it's tough, but I would love to see you walk in there with a prong. Even if you got one of those, they have these fancy kind of prongs that are like have flat, or if you go on Learberg.com, they're like flat on the outside and they're not quite as like, they don't look so quite medieval torture device.
Quite as invasive, yeah.
Yeah. Like even if you got one of those and you were like, guys, look what we can do, just try this, especially if you've built trust with the shelter. If you were able to go in there and be like, Sean and I always talk about this kind of thing, well, not Sean and I, but everyone who's doing stuff in this world, just like I'm sure all of you are in your own way and your own things, is just being brave and going out there and doing big stuff, because obviously you get the biggest reward, but you also learn the most, and you also can learn like where to go from there. Right now we all sit on the outside, and I'm speaking about all of us, like, and go, oh well, they're not doing this, but what's stopping me, Laura, or Sean, or you, Tara, or anyone out there who's watching, to build some trust at a shelter, and then finally just say, you know what guys, I know you guys are totally against this, but hear me out for 10 minutes. Check out this video, please, just doing a demonstration, even if you got one volunteer to be like, you know what, that's kind of cool. And everyone else is like, no. I don't know. I would love to see us all kind of taking a bigger stance, especially on stuff that we feel really strongly about.
Yeah.
And, have some fun with that, because we're not going to get anywhere. These dogs aren't going to get anywhere if we're not helping out in that way and kind of taking some risks. So maybe that should be the challenge for this week. We all need to kind of...
And one addition to that is that we work with rescues, but we only work with rescues that allow us to use the tools that we want to use. So there
They're
are
out
rescues
there.
out there.
Oh my gosh, so many. I'm sure there's tons
Excuse
at
me,
Watch.
if you do more work, research, you might be able to find one that'll allow you to use the tools that you want to use.
Yeah.
The ones that we work with allow e-collar and prong collar, and so their dogs get
happy
really
to do
well
it.
trained up.
Dogs
and
get
yeah,
out like that.
Yeah. So, anyways, tough situation. I'd go with a halty if you have to, as far as the tool thing, and then like Laura recommended, if you can try and make a bigger play, boy, would that be an audacious and beautiful move.
Yeah.
To just say, like, go in and do like a prong collar, like leash pressure introduction, conversational leash work thing, and just like get a dog to de-escalate with gentle pressure and just show them how to do that. I mean, seeing is believing, but that said, there's a lot of people that don't want to see, even if it's awesome. So you'll have to kind of make your own choices with that.
Yeah.
So hope that helps.
You might be just the girl for the job, though.
Could be.
Question number 9.
Yes, ma'am.
This is from Catherine Jane, the famous.
The famous Catherine Jane.
Hi, Sean and Laura. What are some protocols and or exercises to do with 3 and 4 month old puppies to help shape behavior and avoid adolescent adult difficulties? And how about jumping and humping legs and toys?
Jumping and humping?
What can you do for a 3-month-old jumping puppy and humping puppy? In order to learn more, I ordered 2 new puppy books, Monk's a New Skeet and another from Caesar. They'll be arriving this week. Thanks so much for your advice. Catherine.
Well. Do we have a surprise for you?
We do. And this surprise comes in the form of our favorite that we were just talking about earlier.
Yeah, our all.
Our everything.
She handles a lot of our board and train stuff, all of our one-on-ones, and then she's our puppy specialist.
Puppy specialist. So, Catherine.
Special ops puppy.
You're about to get specialized.
So, Britt, I know you're nervous about this video. She hates doing the video. We all got to do it. Come on, Britt.
Take it away, Britt.
Okay, take it away. Can't wait to see.
Come on, you got to do it.
What is this?
It's Wayne's World.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm too old for Wayne's World, I think.
Hey guys, Brittany here, answering for Sean and Laura today. They sent this question my way and I graciously accepted because the implications for not accepting were pretty clear on their part. So here I am for you, Catherine. So to your question about avoiding difficulties through adolescence with puppies. So kind of 3 points I'd love to make here. The first one, what we do want to do before we even start addressing kind of like, stopping these like unwanted behaviors, first things we want to do is teach them what we do want from them. So that's going to be teaching them through basic obedience, your sit, down, place, heel, come, out, all of those commands, right? So easiest way to start teaching those is going to be by using food and luring them into the desired behavior. So before we even can give them the command or even have them understand the command and the words, like sit, for instance, we want to really get the behavior first, mark it with good, give them food, and then once they start to like understand what it is we're looking for, then we can add that word so that they start to associate that word with completing that behavior. As we move through that and now they're kind of like understanding what it is we're looking for, then we can start to pair these commands with leash work and leash pressure. So that would be either with like a slip lead or a prong collar, depending on the puppy's age and size. Typically prong collar we don't start until at the very youngest 12 weeks, 12 to 14 weeks I'd say. So they could either be on slip or prong, and then if you were teaching sit, for instance, you would say sit and then do a little bit of pressure upwards, and then once their butt hits the floor, release that pressure. And so this way they start to actually learn what the leash means and how to shut off pressure. And then this also gives us a really great way to, down the line, let's say when we're not using food as much to keep them motivated to do things, then we can actually get them to comply and complete the behavior. And then this kind of rolls into
my second point that I'd love to make is in avoiding, difficulties, is also going to be always having a consequence for unwanted behavior. So whether that's like a leash pop, eventually, doing e-collar, or, stop engaging with them, something like that, there always needs to be a consequence for unwanted behavior. And the third point I'd love to make is also being extremely consistent with puppies. So puppies take a lot of repetition to learn, and it's definitely a time thing. You slowly chip away. But biggest thing for both things, obedience and having consequences, is going to be consistency. So every time there needs to be the same sort of protocol that you apply, the same consequences or the same rewards, and that's really going to help you create a really awesome foundation with your puppy. And then to your second part of your question about jumping, the best way to kind of like deal with jumping and to discourage it is once you've done some like basic leash foundation work through obedience, and they are starting to understand leash pressure and everything like that, easiest thing to do is wait for them to jump, make that mistake, mark it with a no, and then do a little leash pressure, a little pop downwards. So if they're jumping up, you want to come opposite way and correct them down. And then that again needs to be like very, very consistent. So always get that no out and then do that little pop downwards. The other side of that is we also want to teach them how to, exist otherwise. So typically puppies are jumping when they're greeting guests. If the guests are getting them overly excited, then they're going to start jumping up. So we want to show them how to engage with guests or how to engage with yourself. And so you can always help them out by asking them to sit, and then that's when we kind of like greet them, and that's when we give them affection and praise and everything like that. So it's not just the negative part, but also kind of showing them what is a better option and how to move through the world that way. And if we have kind of a younger dog, or there's let's say we're dealing with leash stuff and we haven't quite got to prong, or the slip lead isn't working very well, there's also a few other options that we have for discouraging jumping, and that would be, you could do, every time they jump up, you hold their paws, and then you just kind of hold them up for an extended period of time until the dog shows a little bit of discomfort. So we don't want to squeeze the paws, we don't want to cause them like pain or anything like that, but definitely make it an uncomfortable situation for them. And so that again is consistency, just making sure every time they jump up, you're going to be doing that. Another option would be a squirt bottle. Every time they jump up, they get sprayed. And that again it's always going to be what works best for that puppy and that particular dog in front of you. So if the puppy loves water and you're going to be squirting it every time it jumps up, that's probably not going to be the best discouragement. But definitely I would say at 3 to 4 months, you're probably looking at, I would say doing the leash work would be best bet there for discouraging jumping. So yeah, I think that's probably a good place to leave this question here. So real quick, brush up on these points. So we want to teach them what we are looking for through basic obedience, and a really, really big one, which I almost forgot to mention, is place command. That's going to be, for us, our number one most favorite protocol is place command. It just really helps, especially with puppies, teach them impulse control about, things can go on around them and they don't need to be involved. And that has so much latitude for keeping them from jumping into unwanted behaviors down the road. So definitely emphasis on place command there. And then consequences for any unwanted behavior. And the third point, just lots and lots of consistency with all of this. So I wish you the best of luck, Catherine, and thanks again. See you guys.
Thanks, Britt. Question number 10.
Yes.
Final question. Okay. Lind Angela 311 says, Our dog recently developed a chewing problem. We've had Halo, our blue heeler, for a month, and she's never chewed till this week.
Might be time to change that name.
Halo. To Horn.
Heyo.
She chewed a cable in the bottom of a lamp. We tried the bitter apple, and she actually doesn't mind the taste.
Give me some of that bitter apple.
What can we do?
Okay. Linda, right? Was it Lindangela? Well, all I know is it says blah 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 monkey business. Laura's secret surprise question. See, I have to write a little bit of something so Laura doesn't see the code here that it's going to be her question, because otherwise she sees it coming and she prepares. So right here she can't tell, but it really does say blah 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 monkey business.
I hate you. Okay.
This is you. This is an easy one for you.
All right, Lynn.
You're the logistics and organizational queen.
Our dog has recently developed a chewing problem. She chewed the cable on the bottom of the lamp. Okay. So you've had her for a month, Halo.
Don't say it with disdain. Halo.
Halo. So Halo, I assume, is doing this when you're not there or when you're not supervising. Mm-hmm. So Halo needs to be crated right now. Doesn't mean Halo is going to be crated for life. Just right now.
Dun dun dun.
While you're not home, Halo needs to be in the crate. So we have a video on how to crate train. So does Jeff Gelman. So get that on board. If you are around, Halo needs to be in command at this point. You guys are at your brand new stages. It's like new relationship, like dating. You got to set the firm boundaries right now, or else it's going to be terrible down the line. I don't know how old Halo is. But so you've got,
Halo's a bad dater.
Halo, yeah, might be one of those. So first things first, get Halo in a place command and have Halo in place when you are supervising. And, all the basic foundation that we talk about in our videos and, getting her on prong or e-collar. And then when you're not there, Halo needs to be put away, because the reality is if she gets into biting or chewing something that's not good for her, it could mean huge vet bills for you, and obviously even more than that, really bad health issues for her if she swallows something that's not good for her.
Yeah. Dogs get caught with their face in bags and they can suffocate or swallow things they shouldn't. Electrocute themselves.
Yeah, so just be careful with that.
So I mean, the reality is, just to kind of piggyback off that, is that Halo's brand new to the house, right? Had a little honeymoon period, didn't destroy anything. Mm-hmm. Everybody's feeling like we got the perfect dog.
Yeah.
And then Halo gets comfortable, gets bored, gets anxious, whatever it is, and starts entertaining Halo's self and starts getting into chewing and stuff like that. So you gotta supervise that dog. And like Laura said, it's a simple thing of crating when you're not there. No big deal. Don't feel bad about it. Feel good about helping out the dog to have structure and to have safety and security. And then make sure that when you are home that you're supervising that dog by having the dog in command. And if there's points where you can't have the dog in command, tether the dog to you and just walk around the house so the dog stays close. You're in that period where you have to get over the hump.
Yeah.
It's like young dogs, they like to chew stuff.
Yep.
I mean, like, if you could see Exhibit A, my table over here, it's familiar with that. So,
yeah,
nice work.
Be careful with that, Linda.
Yeah, and it's like Laura said, it's not forever. Mm-mm. But you just get the dog over the hump. It might be a year, something like that, 6 months. Yep. The more training you do as well, the better your dog will be just in general as well. Cool.
Okay, guys. Looks like that's it.
That was a pretty quick show. I have to say, I love having some help answering the questions. It's nice flying in these experts to help us out.
And it's probably fun for you guys, too.
Yeah, you get to see some different perspectives. Some different trainers get to introduce you to some different trainers so you can follow them and check them out. Mm-hmm. Our goal is going to be to try and kind of like bring this balanced training world a little bit tighter, some of the people we really respect and admire, and have them on the show so you'll get exposed to them. And you may already know them, but get a chance to actually hear them interact in a video format like this, which is pretty cool. So we got some pretty cool ideas on the horizon.
Yep.
That said, there's an update. I don't know if you can locate it from Annette Oram, I think.
Annette Oram.
Yeah, it's on Facebook.
Yep.
And we always like to do a quick little share of when people are having good stuff go on.
Annette says, hi, Sean and Laura. Just watched your most recent Q&A. And since you mentioned wanting more updates, I'm more than happy to comply.
Yeah.
Rather than having an update on a specific issue, although I've dealt with several. I'm noticing changes in Jamie, my coonhound, all the time.
Yeah.
In fact, sometimes he's so calm just hanging out at home, I can hardly believe it's the same dog. He's come so far thanks to your methods, and I continue to watch all your videos and read whatever you post because there's always room for improvement and growth for both of us. Jamie is fully off-leash e-collar trained, and while still slightly reactive to some dogs and other things at times, I try to handle each incident and move on. He has improved so much that I was able to call him off of a coyote that surprised us.
What?
And it was just a surprise to see us that Jamie started to go after. That
Wow.
could have been a bad situation.
Yeah.
So there you have my update,
Wow.
and it continues to get better. Thank you both.
Wow, that's so cool. Yeah.
Annette,
Wow,
nice
and
work.
coonhounds pretty like
They're serious about
tough
stuff.
and willful and all that. To be able to get a coonhound to come off a coyote, it's pretty cool stuff.
Yep.
So once again, what's the common thread running through all these people with that send these updates? People doing their work.
They do their work, yeah.
People that are out there, like, I know it's not easy, all this dog training stuff. I know, like, watching Dancing with the Stars and Game of Thrones and all that is a lot easier than training your dog. I'm sneaking in some Game of Thrones, but it's late night after the dogs are trained. But the reality is it takes work to get these guys trained, but boy, is it a better way to live with your dog. And it's not just because we're dog trainers and you got to train your dog and blah, blah, blah. It's the quality of life for you and the dog and your family. Man, it's such a game changer for you guys.
Yeah.
So really proud of all the folks that are doing the work and showing that all of these techniques and tools, when the consistency is applied, it's really churning out some awesome results. That's it. So, and with that, should we move on to question of the day, or what do you want to share this butterfly thing you've got going on?
No, it's kind of a cool thing.
What is
I wanted to talk about this really quick for my ladies. Just going back to Tara's thing with the shelter.
Yeah.
I watched a great video today that Sean recommended to me. It's this show called The Chase Jarvis Show. And I don't know if you guys know about it. Maybe I can link it.
It's a great show.
Yeah, it's awesome. But
it's just an internet show.
Yeah, he's an internet, he's a host, and he brings great people on.
Famous
to interview.
photographer.
Yeah. And he had this woman, Brené Brown, who's famous.
Dr. Brené Brown.
She just had a huge TED Talk that was out, and then she's got a bunch of books and stuff. She's just a badass.
Yeah.
But she's talking about boundaries, and she's talking about vulnerability is her main thing, and just like the idea that, you know, when you put yourself out there, you have to be vulnerable. You know, you make yourself vulnerable to criticism and people saying stuff, and you know, it's constant here at the Good Dog. It's constant. I mean, you guys are a part of us, and you get to see like good stuff, and we talk about updates, but you don't see all the comments that we're constantly deleting. Like, we joked about the woman calling me obnoxious, but she literally called me obnoxious. Like, and people call us names, horrible things all the time.
Because we put ourselves out there, because we give away information, because we empower people that, you know, dog trainers don't like us because we're out here saying, like, you can teach yourself how to do this stuff. So there's a lot of guff.
There's tons of it. There's so much stuff. But if we were to take that criticism and either not care about it, we wouldn't be able to give what we give. That's kind of what
we'd probably not do the show.
Well, there's that. But if we didn't care about, if we're like, it doesn't bother us.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
We wouldn't be able to give. We wouldn't have heart to give to the show that you guys appreciate. The vulnerability that we do have that causes us to go, oh, that sucks to have someone call me a name, is the same part that makes it so valuable or sharing with you guys. So,
and to get the positive feedback from you guys, so it really helps balance out, you know, the criticism and the critiques, and we're big boys and girls, and we're aware that by putting ourselves out there and making DVDs, you know, we've got a book that we're putting out, and that, who the hell are we to have a TV show or a, you know, video show, stuff like this. A lot of people have problems with that, but the reality is that the benefit of helping you guys is so worth a few snotty, like crappy comments.
Update, like, that's what we read, and we're like, oh, like Sean will text me something and be like, hey, check this out, and I'm like, oh, that's right.
Yeah, we might get some nasty email, and then I say, check this out, and then it's like, it feels so much better. So it really balances it out. And we're not saying this to be like, oh, pity us.
What I wanted to say about it was just that you guys, whatever you do in your normal life, I'd love you to watch that, especially if you're a woman, not to get on the, but
it was really powerful for me as a man as well. I mean,
Yeah.
I definitely get where you're going with the female aspect of it, but it's a universal message.
Absolutely universal.
And
in fact, if not more for men, just because it's not as, there's not so much, like, you're not told as a man, like,
I think
vulnerable.
it's way harder for men. Yeah, men,
absolutely.
we're definitely programmed not to embrace and cultivate that side of us very much. So, and it's not touchy feely like I mean she's a firm, strong lady. And
she says what I love. She says vulnerability without boundaries is not vulnerability, and I thought that was so hot because that's like being vulnerable and just being like, oh, I'm just gonna like cry to everyone or give like, oh, how dare you say that, it's gonna hurt. Like
that's
without
not vulnerability.
Sort of,
that's
that's just instability.
That's instability. Yeah.
But vulnerability with boundaries. Okay, that actually affected me. Okay, but you aren't allowed in my sphere anymore. You're not allowed in my life. But anyway, I say all this just because.
Well, she also said one other great one was creativity doesn't exist without vulnerability.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really beautiful
really
one.
Cool.
Because unless you're willing to be vulnerable, you're not able to be creative and actually put stuff out there because all you do is protect and guard yourself, and then the world gets robbed of all that good stuff you can share.
And again, this isn't like woe is us, but it's just like, it's just a cool kind of check-in for you guys, because I'm sure you guys have amazing jobs and careers or whatever you're doing with your life. You probably are under, if you're an awesome person who's out there doing awesome stuff, you definitely are going to be under criticism at some point. You're going to be, get your feelings hurt. You're going to have people say that what you do is not valuable. And I think, I brought up the thing to Tara Isaacson about walking in and just owning the tools and saying, come on guys, let's try this. I think all of you, for whatever this is worth, I would love for you guys to take this week and really go out there and, do something awesome and do something that's uncomfortable. The more uncomfortable it is, the better it is for you.
Yeah. Nice, nice. That's awesome. That's a great share.
And Sean will sometimes send me stuff that he's about to post and be like, oh, I'm not sure this blog post is a little, I know I'm going to get heat for this, but guess what kind of heat he gets as well is all of the good heat too.
Yeah.
So the more heat that you feel, like, imagine, Tara, if you went to that shelter and you were like, you know what, just give me 10 minutes of your time. And like I said, one of the volunteers is like, whoa, this is awesome. Hey, I have another rescue that they're actually down for these tools. Let's get out of here and go help them. Who knows what great stuff can come from getting out of your comfort zone. So.
Yeah, people taking chances where the world changes.
Yep.
It's so easy to kind of hang out and abide by rules that are in place and not ruffle feathers.
Yeah.
But choosing yourself, which is a hard one because a lot of us aren't taught or programmed to choose ourselves. Boy, is that a valuable one.
Big one.
The whole reason that you guys get this show is because we chose ourselves, and not because we're the anointed ones, but just because. No, but because we've studied stuff that's been really helpful to help lift us up. Writers and speakers, people that are leading by example to go out and choose yourself and not rob the world of your contribution.
Yeah.
I think it's a really valuable conversation. Right. So in our own little way, we wish you guys the same, and go out and put your little dent in the universe, because we all got something to offer. So.
Definitely.
That's it. Nice share. That's cool. Brene Brown. Chase Jarvis.
I'll
You
link it up here, maybe,
just YouTube it. Yeah. And then so question of the day. You ready for this?
Question of the day. Go for it.
What was your first dog breed? What kind of dog was your first dog? And then how old were you when you got it? So like, are you gonna cry? Oh, was it Rex? Who was your shepherd?
Pepper.
Pepper?
Yeah.
That was kind of
German
misbehaved.
Shepherd. No. This was when I was born into Pepper. Buddy was the bad one.
Buddy was the bad one. Okay. So your very first dog, not as an adult, but your very first dog as a child.
Who was yours? The husky?
No, Bird.
Oh, Bird.
Bird. It's a terrible story with Bird. I'll spare you guys because everybody will be crying. Bird disappeared. A parental. Yeah.
A parental disappeared.
Yeah. So Bird. Yeah. No. So your first dog and how old you were when you got it.
Yep.
And it'd be a good share for all of us. So you ready to get out of here?
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Nice work, lady. All right.
Episode 36 in the bag.
In the bag. And let us know also, I know we've already asked you a ton of stuff, let us know what you think about the new stuff, the graphics, some really cool stuff on here. Please let us know what you think. All right? Thanks.
Okay.
See you guys. Bye.
Mm-hmm.